Hello, everybody. So I haven't done videos back to back like this in a while. I'm trying to do more of a schedule like that. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. This is an off the shelf because I just finished it, and it is the Ace novel of the formation of the Spade Pirates. And I'll just read the back since that's what I used to do. Washed up on the shores of a deserted island at the edge of the East Blue Sea, two men from different backgrounds unite their shared thirst for adventure. One of them, Bark-ass DAs, will follow in his famous father's footsteps as the captain of a pirate crew. The other, Mass Deuce, becomes the reluctant first member of Ace's Spade Pirates. Survival is not enough for these seafaring buccaneers, as together they seek adventure, excitement, and a route to the new world. So there you go. Um, First off, it was kind of crazy because I got this pretty quickly, probably within 4 days of ordering it, which, considering I have other stuff that's still waiting, it's a pretty big deal. It's what I love about it actually is that it's 129 only. That's nowadays that's impossible to have a short book. Mentioned some crazy stuff, so I guess part two in September will be focusing more on like the Whitebeard stuff and all that, and his early journey and all that, because that's the only thing I can come up with. Because it kind of ends a little bit somewhat abruptly. I kind of wish that they'd put just two parts because remember with the Naruto novels, they were just 185 all in one. But that's, I guess, One Piece is a more financially acceptable thing than Naruto is. You could see that in the Naruto novels aren't, fulfilled still. We're also getting a law novel, so that'll be cool. It's pretty, but you can read it in about 4 hours. Pretty good. So I think it's really interesting how, we find out Ace's devil fruit, how he ate it, how he found it. It's washed up, which is really interesting. Kind of makes me think that the Mera no Mi user before died at sea, or died and then, tumbled into the, I don't know. It's really, really interesting stuff. Makes me also think about the Yuki no Mi, considering that when we saw it in Punk Hazard, it could have, reincarnated anywhere. But it's interesting how we have this third-person perspective where we hear about the Mass Deuce and his life and his upbringings and how there's royalty and all this other stuff. So it's kind of like interesting to actually hear from a perspective that isn't Ace and the way he meets him and stuff. He doesn't like Ace at all at first, and he is actually kind of an asshole to Ace, which is a total bummer. I wasn't going to do spoilers, but considering that there's already Roger's Base already did a video without spoilers, there's no point for me to do that, it'd be the same thing. But yeah, I would suggest reading this. I would say it's like an 8.5 out of 10. Solid, very solid book. Mass Deuce, it's one of those One Piece characters. This guy right here that, you kind of wouldn't like at first, but then, after you meet him a couple times. Something that is a little bit disappointing, though, is the fact that we don't see most of his crew beyond these two dudes, the Skull and Mila, which is interesting. This guy has a name of Teach, so I wonder what his reaction was, And then we have like these other. Look at how many people was in the crew, and they're not even mentioned in the book at all. They don't have dialogue really, which is total bummer. There's actually some women in his crew, and if anything, this novel makes me think about Isuka and how she could have been, a bounty hunter. And I have to say that their relationship was probably the sweetest thing like ever, especially considering that they had this smoker kind of like relationship. She was pretty confident. I love how she uses like an English kind of sword, and she actually like we say in fencing, she gets the point in, and she makes like nail holes out of somebody, which is a pretty cool thing. We found out how Ace made his, his speed runner that he runs with his flames, which is really cool. That's how they got off the island. We find out what happens when two people eat a devil fruit. The first one, gets the powers, and the second one doesn't, which is bizarre. And yeah, then there's the best part, I would say, is Saboti Archipelago, and when they go there and they they meet the Marine woman, Izuka, at the end. Isuken? I don't actually know. I'm terrible at names. Probably mispronouncing, of course. But yeah, what's interesting is that she actually respects Ace, and there's this moment in the carousel that is a very good moment. Or actually, it's the carousel. It's I think what it does well is it does justice to the One Piece story. I was very, the author of this, Sho Hinata, did a really good job of describing the scene, because I had imagined, when she said, Ace, you're, a good dude, but quit, when she says quit being a pirate, I could see like the light, when Roger and Rayleigh had their moment at the bar, and it was all lit with all the watercolor look. That's kind of how I imagine that scene. And then Ace jumps out and all that. Skull, he was an okay character, but he does have a lot of information, which is interesting, especially because he has a mask. I wonder if he used to be, a Marine or on another pirate crew or something interesting, because they mention other crews, but I wonder what other crew he could have been on. Of course, every time somebody is new, they always say rocks, but it's kind of irritating now. But yeah, I think she's a pretty cool character, especially considering she says to Ace that, like, he says, I want to continue being a pirate, and then, I can't be, a Navy member, because she invites him to the Navy, and then he comes back, and then she comes back, like, a week later, or a couple days later, after her vacation's over, and she actually gets him a 7 Warlords invitation. That is the sweetest thing ever, because the way she says it and the way that it says, she lights up her face and she says, oh, I know now you can still be a pirate by being being an ally of the Navy. That was fantastic writing, because it just shows a lot. I mean, how many female characters in One Piece have ever done something like that? Pretty much none. It seems like, Nami's had her moments, and Robin, but not like this. Especially because they were enemies. And then after that, it's interesting because he denies it. He's the first ever person to deny a Shishibukai position, which is very interesting. Then he fights her, or he fights the Vice Admiral Doro, which is a complete jerk. But he's kind of interesting because this is a canon novel, right? And he's not mentioned on the wiki, so I don't really get what's going on there. There's no picture of him here either, which is kind of disappointing too. But he fights the Vice Admiral. He supposedly has hockey, which is weird, because why didn't he use it at Marineford, or even if, I don't know, it gets a little murky. Then he ends up fighting him, taking him out, which is good, because he was targeting kids. He's a scumbag, for sure. It's interesting how he says that he only targets the kids because of pirates. It's like, what kind of false logic is that? But then after that, pretty much end, but then he says, he kind of returns the favor back, and he says, you can join my crew, and she goes, no. And he goes, well, if you still want to be the Navy, what if you were a bounty hunter? And it's interesting because it's kind of like, considering she wasn't at Marine, I don't know. After seeing her character and in the characters in this book, I'm really disappointed that these characters were not in the Marineford War. Like, I think that the Spade pirates, they're confusing as hell. Where the fuck are they? I mean, seriously, they have been gone for a long time. We're talking 2+ years and beyond that even. And they joined the Whitebeard Pirates, but they were not even in that flashback. They weren't at Marineford, because supposedly they were, but I didn't see them. And it's like, the Masked Deuce should have been the one with Luffy on that platform, with Mr. 3. That would have, that's how impactful of a character he is. And she should have been the one that talks to him in jail. Maybe not instead of Garp, but also with Garp. I kind of wish they were in a little bit of a relationship. But other than that, I have to say that they did a really good job with the characters in a novel version. I think it's better than some of the One Piece movies. Maybe not Z, but definitely Gold. Did a great job. I have to say. It was a little bit boring at first, but it was more entertaining than some of the Naruto novels overall. I wouldn't say that it was an amazing fight, Roger Bay said it was an amazing fight, but I don't think so. But that pretty much does it for me. See you guys till next time. Bye.